He went from not receiving one scholarship offer from any school outside of Texas to signing a massive contract worth over $500 million. Patrick Mahomes was once totally overlooked and unwanted, but today he is the undisputed king of the entire NFL. Just how high can he climb on the rankings of the greatest of all time? Mahomes went from a 3-star recruit to the league's undisputed best player. Patrick was truly born to be a professional athlete. His father spent 11 long years pitching in Major League Baseball, and while growing up in Texas, there was simply not one athletic challenge that Mahomes could not master. By age 10, he was already capable of launching a baseball well over 200 feet. Once he arrived at White House High School, Mahomes dominated in 3 separate sports: football, baseballs, and basketball. As a freshman, he earned a starting spot on the varsity basketball squad. By his senior year, Mahomes was averaging 19 points and 8 rebounds every single game. While his skills on the court were impressive, the diamond was where Mahomes truly separated himself. A teammate swears that during their whole time playing together, they were winners. From the age of 8 until 18, he only ever saw Mahomes strike out a total of 2 times. Not only was he a beast at the plate, but as a senior, Mahomes pitched a no-hitter with 16 strikeouts. His arm was absolute heat too, with his fastball topping out in the mid-90-mile range. Mahomes was so dominant that Perfect Game ranked him as the 35th best overall prospect in Texas. He was considered a high-level prospect for the 2014 Major League Baseball draft. However, teams did not believe that he was quite ready to give up on his football dreams. Still, Mahomes was taken by the Detroit Tigers in the 37th round of the draft. The other teams were correct about his commitment to both sports, and he never signed a deal. Mahomes believes that the experience of playing both sports had a major influence on his football skills. He says that much of his improvisational style comes from baseball and how he threw the ball. Having played shortstop his entire life, he never really had his feet set under him while throwing. He was always making difficult throws across his body, and this unique skill set helped him develop. These unique talents helped Mahomes transform into a completely unstoppable high school quarterback during his career. That season, he threw for 3,839 passing yards and 46 touchdowns. Mahomes followed that up his senior year by absolutely shredding the competition for 4,600 and 19 passing yards and 50 touchdowns, while also rushing for 948 yards and 15 scores. He was named the National Male Athlete of the Year. Despite this massive honor and his insane statistics, Mahomes was somehow only rated a 3-star recruit. Major recruiting sites like Rivals, ESPN, and 247 Sports simply did not see his true potential. It sounds impossible now, but not one single Division I school outside Texas offered him a scholarship. According to his high school coach Adam Cook, his only official scholarship offers were from 3 schools. With very few choices, Mahomes committed to Texas Tech so he could play both football and baseball. Mahomes arrived on the university campus determined to prove every single one of his doubters completely wrong. He wanted to show the recruiting services and programs that ignored him exactly what they had missed. However, he had to wait his turn. Mahomes entered his freshman season sitting on the bench as a backup and did not get a real chance until late in the year. The starter went down with an injury, and Mahomes finally took over the starting job. After starting the final 4 games, Mahomes finished the year with a bang in the season finale. Against 5th-ranked Baylor, he set a new Big 12 freshman record for passing yards. That final stretch of the season proved to everyone that he was ready for the big stage. After starting the final 4 games, Mahomes finished his season with a massive bang. During the season finale against 5th-ranked Baylor, he set a Big 12 freshman record, shattering school records for passing yardage and scoring in one game with 598 yards and 6 touchdowns. This massive performance served as the launchpad for his national introduction during a breakout sophomore year where Mahomes led the entire nation in total offensive yards per game while finishing 4th in passing yards and also becoming one of just 5 elite quarterbacks in college history to throw for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns in one season, while also scrambling for at least 450 rushing yards and 10 scores on the ground that year. Before his junior season, Mahomes announced he was walking away from the baseball diamond to focus on his football career. With baseball finally in his rearview mirror, he dominated the country in passing yards per contest with 421 total yards while accumulating 5,502 yards of total offense during that legendary campaign, with 5,312 yards and 53 total scores, showing that there was not a single Though he couldn't complete, Mahomes decided to skip his senior year and enter the 2017 professional draft. With all that said, I would like to announce that I am forfeiting my final college season and declaring for the 2017 pro draft. Despite being the primary starter for less than 3 seasons, he finished very high in the school record books for passing yardage and scoring strikes with a massive combined total of 11,252 yards and 93 touchdowns total. After Mahomes posted those incredible college statistics while playing the most vital position on the field, you would assume every team would be desperate to select him, and yet he was only the second quarterback chosen, falling all the way down to the Kansas City Chiefs at number 10 overall to be able to secure him, giving up their 27th pick plus a 2017 third rounder and a 2018 first round draft choice. Sent to the Buffalo Bills in exchange for that pick, the Kansas City Chiefs select Patrick Mahomes. As the second quarterback taken at that point, the Chiefs already had a very dependable veteran under center in the ultra-reliable Alex Smith, so trading up for a top 10 backup seemed crazy, but Kansas City saw special potential in Mahomes that no other team recognized, and it wasn't until next year when the rest of the league finally got a glimpse of his talent for themselves during Week 17 action. With the Chiefs resting Smith for the playoffs, Mahomes finally made his professional debut in Denver against the Broncos. Then, after the Chiefs were eliminated from that season's postseason race, they made a stunning move that shocked the entire league. Right before the Super Bowl, they shipped Alex Smith off to Washington, handing the keys over to Mahomes, who threw for 5,097 yards and 50 massive passing touchdowns during his first full year. Just before the Super Bowl, they traded Alex Smith to Washington, throwing for 5,097 yards and 50 touchdowns. He led in passing scores by 11 and was second in passing yards total by just 32 yards, so in his first year starting and only his second season in the league. Mahomes claimed the Most Valuable Player award, earned a Pro Bowl nod, and was named a first-team All-Pro. And the success wasn't just limited to his own individual stats, as his team reached the AFC Championship for the first time since 1993, before eventually losing to the Super Bowl champion Patriots in a classic 37-31 overtime game where Mahomes never even touched the football during the extra period. The following season offered Mahomes a chance to solidify his reputation as the new face of the league, but his stats were down slightly because he missed 2 games with a knee injury. He still finished the regular season with 4,031 yards, 26 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions total during the year. Despite that slight statistical dip from the previous year, the Chiefs still secured the top seed in the AFC. And everyone knows that real legends aren't built in the regular season anyway, so when the playoffs finally arrived, it was Mahomes' time to lead his franchise somewhere they hadn't been in 50 years during the divisional round season anyway. So when the postseason finally arrived, it was time for Mahomes to try and take his franchise somewhere they hadn't been in 50 years, but in their high-stakes divisional round matchup with the Houston Texans, it really looked like their team was heading for an early exit during the game. Second quarter, the Chiefs trailed 24-0 as everyone in Arrowhead Stadium sat in stunned silence. With 10 minutes and 54 seconds left in the half, the score read 24-0. Houston led early, but Mahomes rallied his team as Kansas City stormed back to life. The Chiefs roared back, putting on an offensive show by scoring 41 unanswered points. They won 51-31, with Mahomes naturally leading the charge for his team. He dropped 321 yards and 5 scores before the big conference championship. Facing the Titans, Kansas City fell behind early, trailing 17-7 midway through. Mahomes dominated the second quarter, finishing with 294 passing yards and scores. He tossed 3 touchdowns while adding 53 rushing yards and another score on ground. After that victory, the Super Bowl matchup against San Francisco presented a much taller task. With 10 minutes left in the fourth, San Fran led 20-10 until Mahomes. He erased that deficit on the biggest stage, leading the Chiefs to a win. Kansas City won 31-20, and he was rightfully named Super Bowl MVP. Mahomes became the youngest quarterback and 3rd youngest player ever to win that award. Since he performed such legendary miracles so early on, the organization made its move. In July of 2020, the franchise decided to do something completely unheard of today. Mahomes inked a 10-year deal worth $477 million plus another $26 million. Those added bonuses pushed the total to $503 million, a massive story. This monster extension for Patrick Mahomes with the Chiefs remains the largest in history. This was a historic payday for a kid who grew up playing baseball. He secured the kind of guaranteed wealth usually reserved for Major League Baseball superstars. NFL players are often replaced quickly, but it was clear Mahomes was a different breed. It became abundantly clear that nobody could ever truly replace a talent like Mahomes. He made impossible throws and saw the field differently than every other pro quarterback. In 2020, he was determined to prove he was worth every cent of that deal. He led the Chiefs to a dominant 14-1 start this season. He threw for 4,740 yards and 38 scores that year. After resting in Week 17, Mahomes led his team back to the conference championship. In his third straight title game, the Chiefs cruised past the Buffalo Bills easily. Mahomes threw for 325 yards and 3 scores in the blowout win. Next up was Tom Brady and the Bucs the GOAT versus the young prodigy. Most expected this game to be the official coronation of the league's next king. However, Brady and the Bucs defense forced everyone to pump the brakes that night. Tampa Bay's defense exploited a Kansas City offensive line missing several key starters. They pressured Mahomes 29 times, a Super Bowl record that threw his game off. The Bucs won 31-9, holding Mahomes to 0 touchdowns all game long. After 2 interceptions, Brady was named MVP, reminding everyone who truly runs the league. He showed the world that the league was still his and nobody was winning. This loss fueled Mahomes in 2021 as he threw for 5,000 yards. He threw 37 touchdowns, but regular season stats weren't his main focus that year. He wanted that elusive second ring, and he looked sharp as the playoffs began. Mahomes seemed destined for a title during the wildcard round against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He threw for 404 yards and 5 scores in a huge victory, in what many called the Super Bowl before the Super Bowl Kansas City played. They faced their AFC rivals, the Buffalo Bills, in a highly anticipated heavyweight matchup. The game was legendary as both teams combined for 25 points in 2 minutes. That scoring outburst forced overtime, and following those late fireworks, Mahomes took charge. He went a perfect 5 for 5 on that drive, eventually finding Travis Kelce for the winning score. He finished that day with 378 yards through the air plus 69 on the ground. Simply put, Mahomes seemed invincible until he had to face the Cincinnati Bengals squad. During the AFC title match, Kansas City appeared ready to take a massive halftime lead. They almost had an 18-point cushion before the clock management went totally south for them. That disaster in time management basically handed Joe Burrow and his teammates a golden comeback opportunity. With new life, the Bengals came storming back while completely stifling the Chiefs' offense. That elite Kansas City unit managed only 3 points after the break, forcing an overtime. As the Chiefs took the ball to start the extra period, everyone expected Mahomes' usual dominance. Most fans thought he would march down the field, but on just the 3rd snap of overtime, he threw a pick that set up the Bengals for the win despite their 4 straight appearances. Even after reaching 4 consecutive championship games, the star quarterback started facing some real heavy public criticism. The skepticism grew much louder once the front office shipped Tyreek Hill off to the Miami Dolphins. Throughout the summer, many wondered if Mahomes could actually win without his top deep threats. Critics argued his success was just a product of playing with elite talents like Hill and Kelce. All that trash talk only fueled Patrick to push himself even further during the following season. His goal for the 2022 campaign was to prove he could thrive on his own. To silence the haters, he topped the charts by throwing for more yards than any other quarterback. He totaled 5,250 yards and 41 scores, proving he was the best. After clinching his 2nd most valuable player award, the Chiefs enjoyed a much-needed first-round rest. The team looked ready for another postseason run, but the divisional round brought a scary nightmare. During their high-stakes clash against Jacksonville, a single play changed the team's entire season. Early in the contest, the quarterback was flattened as 2 Jaguars defenders collapsed onto his leg. It was immediately clear he was injured after taking a brutal hit that mangled his lower leg. His ankle buckled underneath Arden Key while he was getting crushed exactly as the ball left his passing hand. You could see the agony on his face as he limped around, unable to walk without pain. Despite his attempt to play through it, his mobility was obviously shot on that right foot. When the medical staff forced him to get imaging, his anger boiled over in front of everyone. He threw his coat down in a fit of rage before slowly making his way to the locker. Suddenly, the championship frontrunners looked like they might not even make it past their very first game. Their postseason hopes were hanging by a thread until the star made a truly shocking return. When he stepped back onto the turf, it felt like a superhero movie coming to life. He ignored the biting pain of a severe high ankle sprain to drag his team to victory. They secured a 27-20 win, but the celebration was cut short by looming threats. The path to the title was getting steeper, and his biggest rival was already waiting for him. Joe Burrow had become his ultimate kryptonite, with Cincinnati consistently getting the better of his team. The Bengals had snatched 3 straight wins, and all week Patrick had to endure the disrespect. Local fans were mockingly renaming Arrowhead Stadium to Burrowhead, claiming that Joe Burrow owned the place. The insults were flying fast, and the Burrowhead narrative was really starting to get under people's skin. Even the mayor of Cincinnati joined in suggesting that Burrow was basically Patrick Mahomes' father. He pointed out that Joseph Lee Burrow was undefeated against Patrick and needed a DNA test. That joke about paternity was a low blow, especially with everyone questioning the quarterback's physical health. Major concerns remained about whether that injured leg could survive a high-intensity championship football game. However, when the lights were brightest, Mahomes delivered a legendary performance that silenced every single critic. He dropped 326 yards and 2 scores to secure a 23-20 win. After winning, Travis Kelce told the Cincinnati mayor to stay in his lane and keep his mouth shut. He called him a jabroni and told him to zip it. Mahomes had one final stop on his tour. That meant beating the Eagles in the Super Bowl, but at the half, it looked like he might fail. The Chiefs were trailing Philly by 10, and things looked pretty bleak for the Kansas City squad. Mahomes just tweaked his ankle again, but fans should have learned by now not to doubt him. You simply cannot bet against his resilience, and that is exactly the kind of magic he delivered then. On every second half possession, Patrick led the Chiefs down the field for 3 straight massive scoring drives. He threw a touchdown every time, even after the Eagles tied the score with 5 minutes on the clock. He commanded a 66-yard march to set up a short field goal to win it all. The kick was good, and by winning Super Bowl MVP, Mahomes became the first athlete to claim 3 honors. He won the championship MVP, the league MVP, and led the entire NFL in passing yards during a single season. He also led in touchdowns that same year. With Tom Brady retiring, the NFL was searching for a new king. That season served as the perfect coronation, proving that a brand new era of football had officially arrived. The league now belongs to Patrick Mahomes. Long live the new king of the gridiron. Beyond the roar of the crowd and the Sunday glory lies a hidden history of backroom deals and league-shaking scandals.